Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hydro's Sunday. I'm your host, Chris Blackwell. We're here live from our studio here in Bothell, Solid Video Productions. Well, today, normally we would be down at the hydroplane pits watching the hydroplanes and the races and the Thunderbolts and the Blue Angels and all that stuff taking place. Well, because of the COVID virus, we're here to present to you live today and on tape from our Solid Video Productions archives. We've got about an hour and a half's worth of, we got full 2-hour shows here, and I've dug around and I've gone into our archives and well, let's just let things roll. But to explain to you, you're going to see a lot of archives. You're going to see some video. We went down the hydroplane pits and a couple weeks ago and shot some video of what it looks like without the tower. That'll be explained to you. And also we're going to have some of the hydroplanes classic stuff that was Solid Video Productions from our archives. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'll see you in a little bit. So let's now switch over to our video, and here we go. And welcome to Solid Video Productions presents Seafair 2020. What? Hey, there's no hydroplanes here. Why? Because of the coronavirus that's going on. All hydroplane races this year have been canceled. So we here at Solid Video Productions are here to tell you about the history. For the next 2 hours, sit back, relax, enjoy. I'm your host, Curtis Blackwell. Let's get started. Back in 1950, there's a gentleman named Stan Sayers, and he was all excited about doing something and bringing a sport to Seattle. And it was his hobby. He had it on his house, which is located way back up over there. He had the opportunity to put together a hydroplane race, and he was excited about these hydroplanes. So he had gone a few years prior to Detroit, Michigan. Now Detroit, Michigan has been racing boats and had Gold Cup, and they started racing hydroplanes that developed in the late 30s and 40s, and on up to the 50s. They had what was called the Gold Cup, and the yacht club there produced the hydroplane races for him. Well, here in Seattle, Stan Sayers decided he was going to put together hydroplanes. So him and Ron Jones and a few of his buddies got together, took a few months and put together a hydroplane. They named it the Slow Mo. Now there were several slow motion, I think there was 4 of them, but this one's called the Slow Motion 5. So they decided to go to Detroit. They could load everything up after they built the hydroplane. First they tested out here in Lake Washington, and it did real well. So then they packed everything up and then went to Detroit, Michigan, put together their equipment and put it all in the truck and headed to Detroit for the Gold Cup there. Well, they pulled in the hydroplane pits, and as I understand it, some people have told me that were there at that time, said that people there laughed at them, laughed at Stan, what kind of a hydroplane, what kind of a boat is that hydroplane? It was a different style. Now, they did 3 heats. The first couple of heats they didn't do so well. They qualified, and they were able to keep on going. Like I said, in those days, they had 8 or 9 race heats altogether. So, and remember, this is 1950 when they were in Detroit. So, on the final heat, before it started, they did some fine tuning to the carburetor and changed some things on the boat, and then they got in there. And also, another thing about the hydroplanes in those days, they had 2 people. They had a gentleman who was on the right in the seat there, and he had the clock, and he was kind of keeping an eye on the course. And then the driver was at the left side, and they would race. Well, they got out there and they started racing. And about the 3rd lap around, they did 5 laps. And about the 3rd or 4th lap, his driver decided to put the pedal to the metal and just picked right up and shot past those in the final lap and zipped right on past the other hydroplanes, and they won the Gold Cup there. Well, according to the rules of the Gold Cup at that time, that the winner, whoever city that was or whoever won the Gold Cup, would go to that city. Seattle did not have the hydroplane races, did not have a hydroplane race at that time. So they got together with the Seattle Yacht Club and a bunch of other businessmen and with the Seafair at that time. It was a big celebration. And downtown Seattle, they had all kinds of parades and community parades and just kind of expanded over the years. Well, in 1951, the hydroplane race was going to be. But a few months prior to that, there's a television station called King TV who had found out about this and were very interested. So they decided to take and put together on barges. At first they were going to be thought maybe submarine, you know, put it from a submarine out here in Lake Washington, because Lake Washington's pretty deep, but that didn't work out. So they decided to put it on barges. Well, all the planning came together. In 1951, the first seafarer hydroplane race took place. And way back over here behind us in Mount Baker, where that is up there, the hydroplanes would come out underneath there, was further down. So that year, 1951, they had something like 9 hydroplanes coming there, and Seattle was excited about it. King TV publicized this in the newspapers and just hyped it up for about 3 or 4 months. And guess what? The seafarer hydroplane races took place here in 1951, and Stan Sayers won it that year, and he also won several others. Now, there's several boats that were there, you know, like the Miss Detroit and lots of other hydroplanes. Like I said, in those days, there was nothing but the seafarer nothing but the hydroplane races out here on the Ron Jones race course. Now, over the years, the hydroplane races have developed and gone full bore. And in 1957, where we're at here now in the Stan Sayers pits down here on the shores of Lake Washington, they decided, Stan Sayers passed away in 1955, so they decided to build, get together with the City of Seattle Parks Department and build a hydroplane pits in honor of him. So, in 1957, where we're standing right now, this is now known as the Stan Sayers pits, and the hydroplanes have been here every single year except for 1974, and we'll cover that a little bit later on. Now, so let's take a look now as the hydroplane races started, and you're going to see some of the classic hydros. I've been videoing since 1980, so we're going to take some of the footage out, and you'll also see some of the footage prior to that in the early 50s. So here's the look at how the Stan Sayers hydroplane pits got started and some of the classic hydros.
The same year King brings local news to the Northwest, it dares to broadcast live a sporting event Seattle has never seen: hydroplane racing. For decades, the Gold Cup race had been held in Detroit, Michigan. It was a tradition until a Seattle boat called Slow Motion 4 travels to the Midwest in 1950 and unexpectedly wins the race. According to the rules, Seattle will host the next Gold Cup.
This for us in this
Placing a submarine in the middle of Lake Washington with cameras mounted on its periscope is briefly considered. Instead, cameras are strategically placed on barges, one equipped with the nation's first 40-inch telescopic lens, specially built by King engineers.
and that made it.
Today, 100,000 spectators line the shore. Thousands more are watching at home as Bill O'Mara gives his play-by-play.
Now, let's see how they go through that corner for the first time.
Very dangerous course, 3.5 miles, capable of a lot of speed, but swells coming off the ridge, so it was heaven and hell at the same time.
In the third lap of the third heat, it is hell as a boat from Portland crashes on the south turn and sinks.
They went in, and the boat never appeared again.
And nobody had any idea if the driver was alive, dead, or what.
So I went to my knees and said the prayer.
And I just responded as a director to what he was doing, and we slowly panned the cameras up into the sky.
I said the Our Father, and from that time on, my sort of history.
That's how it happened. It was a remarkably wonderful, emotional moment.
The boat's driver and mechanic are killed. They are the first fatalities in Gold Cup history.
And so after you pan up and you do this, and you cry, your emotion says, now what? So you go back to the cameras and you do what has to happen.
In the end, Slow Motion 5 is declared the winner, and the Gold Cup stays in Seattle for another year.
Wasn't that a great look back on some of the classic hydroplanes here? Pan around here, and this is Stan Sayers pits. You're looking now at the north turn of the hydroplane race course, and we're in Stan Sayers pits as we just kind of slowly go around here, pan out, and that right there is the finger piers, and along the shore there you'll see the spectators that will line up along there like that. Here a little bit. That's where they teach people how to sail and row. And as we come back around, there's the entrance to the park. And the hydroplanes and people drive in through there. And right there on the hillside you're seeing right now, you see all of the of the hydroplane pits. And there's pits inside. Hi, Curtis Blackwell here. We're up here at the corner of 47th and Bradford, and back in 1979 I had the idea of borrowing some video equipment, video cameras, and putting a tower up over here. Now right over here is where I have put the tower. It was 20 feet tall and about 45 feet wide. Now I made arrangements with the neighbors and invited them all so they can come on down over here and come up put a tower up over here. So I went over and talked to the neighbors here behind us and around here, and I said, you know, I'd love to come over here and put a tower up and invite you guys over so you could get a really good view of the hydroplanes, and they all agreed to it. So I borrowed the video cameras, and 4 of them, and was able to talk to the neighbors and give them electricity. And also at the same time I was able to pay $10 to get a phone hookup so I could get a feed down from the hydroplane pits up here, because Channel 5 also had a couple cameras up here filming it. And this is the right above the hydroplane pits at 47th and Bradford. So from 1980 till 1985 I set up the tower, would come up here every year. And there was one night I remember, we had the tower, we had just sat the tower up, and lightning storms were going on over there, and so we better get down. So I've had lots of people, lots of camera people, lots of good memories from here. And one year in 1985 we decided it was time to move down, and I started working for the videoing for the Miss Madison, and did that for 10 years. So we'll cover that a little bit later on. But this is where we started. This is where it all started for me videoing, is for Saw Video Productions back in 1981 and 1980. And one quick memory about that was that 1982, it was pouring down rain, but thankfully our cameras were all on batteries. So that's it for here, 47th and Bradford, just right above the Stansailors pits, and more to come. And now let's take a look at some of those early days, 1981 to 1985, of where I was up on the tower up there, 47th and Bradford.
U-40, the American Speedy printing press, is the Fred Leland. Driving the U-43 Kawaguchi Travel, which also did not qualify, will be the Will Muncie. He did not qualify, but he will be in the consolation race. Through this race, there is over 500,000 people here today, and like I said, we're broadcasting from the some scaffolding put up here on the north side of the lake. And I hope you enjoy yourselves, and the 5-minute gun should be going off shortly. Okay? Curtis Blackwell reporting live from the Stansailors pits. Actually, we're on the west side of the pits, up above, overlooking the crowd. We've got a nice view. There is the Sea Galley Emerald Cup this year. It's going to be a nice one. Once again, the boats that will be racing today are the favorite here today is the Thunderbolt U1 Atlas van lines. That will be driven by... Good afternoon, I'm Curtis Blackwell, live from just above the west side of the Stansailors pits. There's a crowd of 500,000 people here today, and out of that 500,000 people, there was probably another 100,000 people out there on the boats. We got about 5 minutes until starting time. Until then, going to go ahead and run over the boats that will be in the race this afternoon. Driving one of the favorites that is going to be favored is the Atlas U1, Atlas van lines. That's driven by Chip Hanna. He's favored here to win today. Also, a person who was favored to win is the Earl Hill, who drives the Miss Squire shop. It was designed by Norm Berg, and it's made a stop. It went dead in the water last week in Tri-Cities. That's a real bummer, but we'll see. We're expecting to see lots of action here today on the Lake Washington. Now, driving the Miss Renault, the U3 this year, is Irvin Miller Ivan number 3. He's the third person in his family generation for the last 33 years to be driving the hydroplane race. And the pit stop will be, he's going to be in the consolation race. He also did not qualify today. Driving the Frank Kenny, the U6 boat, which used to be the Dr. Toyota, which back in 1979 wound up going up. It was coming towards the finger pier. He shut off his engine and it started back on, and he went up on the finger pier. I was down there, I saw that happen, and it was quite the thing to see. You never know what's going to happen here. Driving went on now for 33 years, and it's just fantastic to be out here and see all these, everybody and enjoying themselves, and I hope you're enjoying yourselves at home. Now, driving the okay, we're getting out there in the boats. They're just going out in the course, so that means we got about 5 minutes to go once they get around the south turn. Okay, driving the Kawaguchi, qualifying. Boy, this is great. It's fantastic. Hydroplane races, the Sea Galley Emerald Sea Cup for 1983. It's a fine year and it's a fine day. It's kind of hazed up and clouded up a little bit, but we got a nice cool breeze here where we're at. Let's take a look at the log boom out there. If you'll notice out there out on the log boom, there is a ship which is, I believe it goes way back. It's an old ferry steamer which goes back to, I believe, the early 30s. Am I correct on that? Somewhere back there. But as you notice, it's a beautiful sight to see. And then a little bit to the right of that log boom, you'll notice that you'll see a great big huge tent and a barge out there full of people. That's one of the barges that are having a big banquet with lots and lots of people who helped put on this, sponsored it. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people have sponsored this boat. Everybody supports this, and I think Seafair will be around for a long time. Let's take a look. Good night.
And now here's 1984 with Curtis Blackwell and Randy Long.
Okay, you're on.
Good afternoon and welcome to Hydros 84. This is Curtis Blackwell along with Randy Long. I tell you, welcome to a beautiful sunshiny afternoon here on the shores of Lake Washington. Actually, it's rainy.
Actually, Curtis, yes, Mother Nature is acting up again, and I think we're going to be in the middle of a thunderstorm.
In the middle of a thunderstorm. I think that we're going to get a little wet here, but however, that's not going to let us dampen our spirits here. Anyway, let's get right into things. As we are coming on the air, we understand that the race has been delayed for 15 minutes because Vice President Bush has arrived down in the pits and is currently getting a tour down there. Now, Rob is, my pit reporter, is on top of things and he knows what's going on down there, so we'll be going checking back with him throughout the day. Now, Randy, why don't you go ahead and tell us who are your favorites today in the race?
Well, the two biggest favorites is Atlas Van Line, driven by Chip Hanhauer. It's got to be the favorite. It's got a T55 Landcombing turbo engine in it, and it's just been flawless all week. It qualified at 137.615, and is by far the best load out for this week. Miss Budweiser's in there with their 4,000 horsepower Griffin Rolls-Royce engines, and they've been fairly consistent this year. They're leading in the point standings, and they're going to be tough. Now, like we said earlier, the Tosny Austin is the sleeper. I tell you, if they keep their turbines going, it's a nice handling boat. It's a little lighter than the Atlas, and they haven't really done anything this year, but this could be it. And the water looks good. It's not really windy. There's a slight wind out of the
Here, we're going to take a short break, come back, and stick with us for more live coverage of Hydros 84.
Up is in second place. The Atlas Van Line is a distant fifth. He's died in the water. He's coming back on. It looks really weak, and I think he's going to pull off the track, and he does.
Randy, it looks like he's having problems. He might have pushed that turbine too far right up, coming up the turn there. And here comes the Miss Budweiser right into the lead. He's looking real good. Followed by Chet's Music Machine. Squire Shop is coming up. Seem to have another problem out there. One of the boats. We'll keep following the Miss Budweiser. There comes the Squire Shop. Right in the lead. Second town is third. Followed by Chet's Music Machine in fourth place. Then they go around the corner. The Miss Budweiser is in the lead. Budweiser is leading up to the south third. It's about 5 points ahead of the Miss Squire Shop in third place. Miss TESTsolid and Chet's Music Machine. In fifth place is the Atlas Van Line. Just still in the race, Curtis, but it's way out. But looks like the Budweiser is going to be able to take this easily. However, the Squire Shop is gaining. As you can see right now, I would say that they have at least 3 or 4 boat lengths. But I love these thunderboats, the way that they just come around those corners and they just get a perfect turn. Here he will say and make a prediction to Miss Budweiser. Looks like she's going to take it.
Miss Budweiser's looking very good at this point. It's really handling well in the corner, especially the north corner.
The Atlas Van Line's going to start again. It's going.
The Atlas Van Line has been dead about 3 times. It definitely starts going and then it dies down. If they can just finish the race, they'll still get some points.
Coming around the north turn again, we've got the Budweiser followed by the Executone coming in. The Squire Shop's trying to make it. They're going to be pushing it on this 4th lap here. This is the 4th lap, and there goes the Budweiser. Squire Shop is moving in on its side. Moving in close. It's going to try and make it through. Push them pedals. Push that best lead.
That's Budweiser going on the inside. Budweiser's going around the south third. He's going a little outside this time, but he's got about a 6-fold lead.
Yeah, the Squire Shop's starting to have a little bit of trouble there. Just can't quite push it. So, looks like the Budweiser's going to win Heat 1A. The Executone is in 3rd place. Chet's Music Machine in 4th. The Atlas about, I'd say about a 3 lap behind. Here we come in the north turn. They're coming down straight away. Followed by somebody in Chet's Music Machine. Pardon me, I'm mixed up there.
Yes, it's the Atlas Van Line, the Chet's Music Machine. The Atlas Van Line is dropping back again. It's going back into 5th place.
Okay, here we go.
It's
North turn.
Miss Budweiser in the lead with the Squire Shop in second place, and Miss Exutone is in third place.
Here we come for the final lap. Let's call it. Here comes Miss Budweiser in the lead. I'd say he's got six boat lengths coming in. The Squire Shop's going to either have to push it real hard like he's doing, and he just can't seem to get it up there. That Budweiser, I just think that they might stick with their conventional engine. I'll talk with Bernie Little, and he said that he might. However, we'll see.
Budweiser's looking very nice going into the south corner. It's really handling well in this water. The water is basically calm. And here comes the Squire Shop in second place, about 7 lengths behind. It's still running a good race.
Third place is the Miss Executone, followed by Chet's Music Machine. Coming around the north third. This is the final lap right here. Number 1A.
Fourth place. We'll start to run. Budweiser's going to take the checkered flag, and it'll be the Squire Shop in second place.
Second place. The race was delayed a little bit because of the rain. However, like I said, that's not dampening spirits of everybody around here. So,
and here it comes.
Like here they come for the
Miss
final
Budweiser is taking the checkered flag.
The Miss Budweiser is coming in for the final lap. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry. They're coming in. Here comes Miss Budweiser. They win in first place. Now the Squire Shop has won.
Rob, Square Shop might have and we've got the Spirit of Detroit in first place here, and it looks like the top of the officer by Steve Reynolds is coming up on him quick.
In Heat 2A is going to be the Atlas, Squire Shop, Miss Executone, Oh Boy Alberto, and the Spirit of Detroit. The Detroit won Heat 1B. Also the Frank Kenny Toyota. So, here is Heat 2A.
Will be coming in for the line abreast loop. There they are, they're in line abreast this time, going up with that front into that loop.
1984. As we say goodbye, I want you to pan the camera out over there, over the log boom, as people leave to catch a show.
You give me some kind of word cue.
Okay, I'm going to say that's going to do it for this year for night. It's been a very, very successful day up here, even though it rained quite a bit this morning. We thought things were going to get rained out. The weather cleared off very quickly. What do you think of Miss Budweiser winning there?
Well, the Miss Budweiser showed the consistency what it showed all year. You know, it's leading the point standings by 1,000 points, and it showed today. It's consistent. It's gone out. It's won 4 of the last 6 races. Now this is 5 out of 7 races, and it's just really has a consistent boat. The Atlas was running good. It had the fastest lap in the history of the Seafair today.
Correct.
But the turbine engine just didn't hold up.
No,
the Budweiser was right there.
The turbine just could not hold up on that thing at all. And I tell you, the Miss Budweiser, I favored all along. I knew that Bertie Little, I talked to him yesterday, he was ready for it. Well,
talking to Jim Cropfield, he said yesterday, consistency is the winner. And that's what they have. They don't have the fastest boat, but they're consistent.
They're consistent and they're winning.
They're the winner.
Yes, and Tatsi looked real good today, even though he couldn't get up to full force. And Heat 1B, I noticed that he was out there with that new hole that, like I said, I talked with the driver yesterday, and he had an opportunity to go ahead and get it off over there and scrape off the bottom. They were working up 24 hours, and he did real well. That's the first year on the line there. Well, any final comments there before we leave?
Yeah, I'd like to say today was an exciting day. You know, we had everything. We had thunder, we had lightning, we had sunshine, we had the boats, we had the people, the atmosphere. It was just a great experience. It was a pleasure working with you, Curtis.
It's a pleasure working with you, Randy.
I think we're going to see a lot more of the turbine engines in the future, and I hope I'm here for a Hydro 85.
I think so, too. Well, that's about going to do it for today. I'm Curtis Blackwell along with Randy Long. Thank you for joining us, and join us again next year for live coverage of Hydros 85 here from the shores of Lake Washington. Thank you for joining us, and good night.
This is 1988, and you're looking at the Budweiser. We're in the Budweiser camp and taking a tour through the hydroplane pits, the different various.
Well, Mr. Little, I'm Curtis Blackwell, working for Seattle Seafair. Don Jones is going to be retiring this year from Seafair. Yeah. We're making a roast for him, so we'd like to get you on videotape of saying a few words to him.
All right.
Okay. Speaking with Bernie Little, the Budweiser, is there anything you'd like to say to Mr. Don Jones' retirement from Seafair?
Well, yes, I think all of the Seattle people owe a lot of gratitude and a lot of thanks to Don Jones. I think he did a Herculean effort in working with the Seafair, and Anheuser-Busch and Budweiser's done a lot of work with him. I think they're going to have a hell of a loss in him. I know your new gentleman that's taking over. I know he'll be as competent, and he'll equally do as good a job. We're glad to have Don as our commissioner of the Unlimited Racing, and he's going to be Seattle's loss and our gain. Thank you.
And very quickly, how did you get into Seafair racing?
Well, I haven't missed a race in 27 years, so I have to come to Seattle, right? Well, I love it here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bernie.
You bet.
And we'll be talking to you tomorrow. Have a good day.
What are you doing?
Well, we're just toning out some facilities between here and the TV truck out in the center of the pit area. Connects audio lines from here to different corners of the course, and we're just trying to get some continuity established for this customer out here.
Must be a big project. When do you first come in here and start setting this all up?
Well, Gil, I think, has been down here about 2 weeks now, and we started the first of the week. And it takes about two weeks to get everything ready, and it's always the last minute things, right up to the last minute. Just before race time, it seems like there's always something that has to be done. So it does take a considerable amount of time, and a lot of man hours, a lot of people involved. But it's a lot of fun too.
So you're the head of this overall?
No, we don't have anybody that's in charge. We all do our work together, and we just kind of get the work and just do it. When we're done, we sit down and watch the race.
All the lot of the customers out here, the Seafair, their telephone lines. We ensure the continuity of all the lines for the intercom system, which General Telephone puts in. This the equipment here is General Telephone's equipment for the intercom system, and then we guarantee the lines and put in the phones and so forth out to each one of the customers.
Years I've never seen Fred drive.
Yes.
Just took it out and we built a new engine last night. The crew did, took it out and warmed it out. Tried it out and it feels good, so I'm going to go with it.
When you were out there this morning, how fast did you go?
Oh, we just ran the boat easy, not much over 100 miles an hour.
Not much over 100 miles an hour? Okay.
Real easy.
One more quick thing is that Don Jones is going to be retiring from Seafair this year, and we'd like to get a couple of words of you saying goodbye to him, or is there anything you'd like to say to him in his retirement from Seafair?
Well, I just like to say he's sure done a good job over the years, and it won't be the same without him. He's done a great job for Seafair and Unlimited's boat.
Okay, thank you, George.
Shut it off.
Damn. What a bummer. You were doing so well. You got started and got going pretty good.
Well, I guess we were in first place. The other boats jumped the gun.
So
well, that's boat racing.
That's boat racing. So you're going to be able to qualify, or not qualify, but you're going to be able to race it all in the consolation race today?
Oh, maybe we'll try to get ready for the second section, and if we don't get enough points there, then we'll go in the consolation. Bummer.
Bummer. Way to go, though.
Thanks.
I mean, the crew really worked hard to get you going, and then they got it together, and you got out there, started it up, getting it going pretty good, and then
it kicked right in.
Yeah, it did. We made a pretty good start too. We were only about 2 seconds off and did exactly what we planned on doing, and the other guys jumped the gun and we went dead.
Way to go, Jack.
Okay, well.
Check back with you later. How's Joe doing today?
Well, I don't know. He hasn't reported in yet.
Do you think he'll report him before the day is over?
Possible.
Great. Thanks, Jack.
You bet. Have a good one.
Let's go up and talk.
Miss Crableg's on fire. All right.
Around the north turn there, go ahead and describe them for us. What's happening? What's going through their mind?
Well, right about now, I'd say that Tommy Deeth's got lane 1, and he's got a comfortable. Well, Chip's right on his hip. Coming off the exit pin, looks like a 2-boat race with Tommy Deeth well in control. Chip's about 300 yards behind and starting to string out now. Frank Kenny coming off the exit pin, and Jerry Hopp's right in there with him. It looked good race for 3rd place.
Okay, when they're coming around the north turn, they start coming towards, as you get around the north turn there and start coming in that straightaway with that power, can you actually see the flag that's out there, the green flag or the checkered flag?
Oh yeah, it's out there in plain sight. It doesn't look like it. You'd be able to see it that clearly, but you can. It sticks right out like a sore thumb.
Sticks out like a sore thumb. Like I said, also, too, you really can't see everything on the shore there or the official tower, can you, when you're going by?
Oh, yeah. There's a clock on the other side, and they usually have the flags hanging from there for your final lap and your checkered flag and your 5-minute gun. And you just have to be heads up and pay attention. You can see it.
Hey. Oh, it was excellent. Beautiful run for the Miss Budweiser. Sun's out. Fans have got to be having a great time. I am.
I know you are. The water was nice and smooth this morning. How was it on Friday?
Oh, it was a little bit lumpy on Friday. Thursday was actually the best time for us because the water was really nice and flat on Thursday. But when I ran on Friday morning, it was a little rough. It's beautiful today, though. Perfect race water for Seattle.
Great. One last thing we'd like to do is Don Jones, make sure he's not around. He's retiring from Seattle Seafair, and they're going to be giving a farewell party to him. We'd like you to say a couple of words to him, to Don Jones.
Well, Don, you've done a great job, and it's a shame you're going to stick around to do some more seafares. We're going to miss you, but I know that you're going to go on to bigger and better things, and good luck in everything that you do.
Can we get a shot of this here?
Now here's a rare interview from 1988 with Bruce King from Como 4 TV Sports.
With Bruce King from Como 4 News. He did all the broadcasting today. That was Wayne.
That's right. Wayne was the guy who had to go out and work today, not me, Curtis.
Right. Well, how have you been?
Oh, terrific. You know, I enjoy this every year, as I'm sure you do too. It's just become such a Seattle tradition that it's fun. If you're a part of Seattle, you have to come to the boat races. It's a great day, and it's a very safe day for all the drivers. And I'd say the Budweiser went out and ran very well. We were kidding a little earlier about the fact that the old days, you know, you used to hear the old piston-powered boats, remember?
Yes.
And the noise used to get you excited. These turbines run so fast and so quiet. It's like a whole different world of racing, but it's a lot of fun.
I haven't seen Doug for a while. How did you get into broadcasting?
Well, how'd I start? Oh, gee whiz, that's been back a long time ago. I'll tell you what, it's hard to believe, this is what, my 29th year on the 29th year of broadcasting, which is hard for me to believe and go back and think about it. But it all started when I happened to, I worked as a page at NBC in New York. in Los Angeles, and I got excited about having an opportunity to get into this particular business, and I thought it was going to be fun. And I went to work for a small television station in Eugene, Oregon. And we helped put this station on the air, and the sports director of the station told us he went on vacation about 3 weeks after I was there. And before they said, hey, you don't sound like a sports guy, you don't look like a sports guy, you don't even have the image that we want on our television station. This guy went on vacation, and I haven't been off the air since. They said, could you fill in? And I did, and I've been off the air since, and that's been 29 years ago. So somehow I changed my whole image about that time, whatever it was, but it was fun.
When did you start working for Coma?
I came from KABC in Los Angeles, and I started in 1968. I remember that Keith Jackson said that I'm from the Northwest. I grew up in Salem, Oregon, and I went to the University of Oregon. My family's from Eugene, or from Salem and Eugene. So I wanted to get back to the Northwest, and I was working as a field reporter and a producer in Los Angeles. And Keith Jackson said, hey, Bruce, he says, I know a job. I know someone who's looking for somebody up there. And that was 1968. And so they hired me in 1968 to do the job here. And I've been here ever since, except a little sojourn to New York back in 88.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do back here? Did you go work for the station?
No, I was the sports director at WABC. And Warner Wolf was the sports director at WABC. Then he couldn't work out a contract. He went to CBS. So ABC then came out to me. ABC then got a hold of me out of the blue. I was doing a basketball game in California, and they called me and said, would you like to come to New York and replace Warner Wolf? And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he said, well, for this amount of money. And I said, well, sure, maybe I'll do that for that amount of money. We negotiated for about 7-8 months, and I had an opportunity to go there, and I was there for about a year and a half, and just had a great time.
Great.
It was fun.
Have you ever done races down here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gee, I'll never forget the longest race we ever did. I started doing the races in 1969, and we did the races up until, the late 70s, I guess, until it went to bid. Yes. And, and then stations would bid for it. But before that time, all the stations would do it on their own. We would have, all 3 stations would do it on their own. And so I'll never forget it. Remember the one time that we all moved to Sandpoint? We did the race up at Sandpoint. It was the Gold Cup.
1974.
The Gold Cup in Sandpoint, right. And we did the thing up at Sandpoint, and we were on the air for 9 hours.
Oh, man.
The longest race that we've ever done in our life. Yeah, no. You get me going on hydrants, I'll talk to you all day long.
It's been a pleasure talking with you, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Curtis.
Wish you the best of luck.
Okay, good.
And
good luck to you.
Talking with Bruce King, Como News Sports.
And from 1988, here's an interview with Wayne Cody, Cairo Sports.
Cody, Cairo Sports, did a fine job today.
Thank you.
How did you get into broadcasting?
Oh, I've been in it a long time. My dad started some 53 years, was in the business, and I just followed what he did. And he was a disc jockey. I started doing his show. I was like 13, 14 years old. Just stayed in it. Finally got into sports here in Seattle and just loved it.
How did you get into it?
About 8 or 9 years ago, and then we got the contract back again about 3 years ago, and we decided to go ahead and cover them. We do our very best. We have about 9 cameras on the scene, about 60 people to help cover the race, and we try to hop around the course and get all the interesting things that happen on it. We did that today.
You did. Well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Cody.
You're welcome.
And have a good evening.
Take care.
Thank you.
It was heaven and hell at the same time.
In the third lap of the third
Okay, we're back live. Sorry about some of those technical glitches that were going on there. Some of the technical glitches happen sometimes live, so we're feeling our way through it. But thank you for watching. What you just seen right there is a lot of past history from the hydroplanes from Saw Video Productions archives. I'm your host, Curtis Blackwell. Now, what I want to do is I want to take some time here in this area and show you some of the things that we have collected here. This here is the Budweiser. It's the beautiful Budweiser busting out through the thing. Now, this was in a tavern, and this is very rare and a collectible items. And our cameraman Terry Osborne has this. We got this way back 1984 1985 or 86, 1984. We were downtown going through there, and we saw these on the one of these on the tavern. Went in and asked the guy to get them. So we were able to get this collector's item. This is worth a lot of money, but this belongs to the camera. You can't have it. Now, up here, we have a bucket list. And I'll be going to the bucket list a little bit later on in one of our other features. But the bucket list, they were nice. I was with them for 5 years, videoing them. Now, right here behind me, I'll step up out of the way here. We have right here a map of the entire race course. This is the very first aerial satellite photograph of the hydroplane race. It shows how the hydroplane race is. Shows where all the anchors, where they anchor the buoys and stuff like down here and over here, the buffers. And also, it also has the area where the Blue Angel will fly through there. It's changed over the years, but it's everything. And this is the I-90 bridge right here. They used to close that. And it's a complete map of everything they do this. Now they start doing the surveying almost 6 months prior to that. They go with it, take a barge out there, and the helicopter goes through and everything, and then divers go down and check to make sure everything is locked in on around the race course. But this is an item that was given to me by the gentleman, I forget his name, but he did this since 1950 surveyed, and this was the very first year that they have this there. And I was down on the start finish tower, and he presented this to me, and I was really, so this is a beautiful thing, collector's item. And that's one thing about the hydroplanes that I really do like, and that is all of the hydroplane memorabilia. All of the people used to take the memorabilia of the hydroplane stuff, and they would take and they would have all of the hydroplanes buttons and pins and shirts and stuff. They still sell a lot of them, but now they don't. But so if you have any of those buttons and pins and posters, that's something I'll be covering later on in another video. Again, I'm your host, Curtis Blackwell, Salvia Productions, and just a second here, we're going to go back and see our part 2 of the hydroplane races. So here we go. You're going to like this part because this is an exclusive that we're able to be in 1993. They had just restored the Slow Motion 5, the original boat, when they found in. We were with the Miss Madison, and the Miss Madison was in the process of we're doing a video for them, Salvia Productions, and we were on the dock, and the Slow Motion 5 had the opportunity to come in. They only ran a couple times around the race course because they had just restored it. But we happened to be right there, and Don Hummel will describe to you. So let's roll that video right now. And you're watching Hydroplanes Live. Normally we'd be down at the hydroplane race down there in Seattle on Lake Washington, from Majestic Shores Lake Washington Star Finish Tower. But we're here, and thanks for watching. And there's more, so let's roll that video now, starting right now. There we are. Okay, and here we go.
I'm the boat responsible for bringing unlimited hydroplane racing to Seattle. And Muscatel brings her back into the pits.
And Slow-Mo's about to go by us. Ken Muscatel behind the wheel. Now passing right in front of us, the dock. Gonna bring her in. Absolutely amazing how the technology, Curtis, has taken over in the sport, though. No comparison with the old spoonbill, shovel nose, we used to call them hydro. The dock. Gonna bring her in. Absolutely amazing how the technology, Curtis, has taken over in the sport, though. No comparison with the old spoonbill, shovel nose.
Yeah, on the race course.
I don't know. I don't know really what the record is for the Seattle course and everything, but there's several boats capable. I don't think it's too record. I think it's going to be too hard of racing.
Yeah, that's true. Back and forth like this.
And there goes Tony the Tiger, Salvia Production with them in 1992 to 1996. and 1992.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the 1993 Texaco Cup. We're coming to you live from the shores of Lake Washington. This program's hosted by Don Hummel, who's an expert, and Curtis Blackwell and cameraman Terry Osborne. Well, good morning. How are you this morning, Don?
Good. Looks like we got all 5 boats out on the course. Now they're going to be jockeying for position. A 5-minute gun has sounded, so they've got 5 minutes really before the start of the race. You know, under these rules now with the flag start, there's a boat out on the course, and he'll display a yellow flag when they first come out, and he'll be near the start-finish line. Then he'll put up a white flag indicating one more lap. And then when they come around, if they're lined up pretty much in a straight line, they'll drop a green flag and the race will be underway. We're trying to spot where the flag boat is, and I haven't spotted it yet.
There's the flag boat right directly out front of us.
All right.
It's right out, right in line with the center.
Right, I see it now. He's displayed the white flag, so it looks like they are all in good order this time. Why, he'll go ahead and drop the green. However, I don't know. I don't think it'll happen this lap. I think he'll send him around one more time. Okay. Now we got a white flag. They're going to make another lap. I was right. So they'll go around. They'll jockey into position again, and they're assigned lanes, and they'll regroup. I would say if they're reasonably close this time, you're going to see a green flag. Okay. Looks like they ought to be in good shape. Now we got a green flag. There's the start. There's the start. Okay, Winston Eagle's out in front. Looks like followed by Mike Hansen and Tony the Tiger. Budweiser's on the inside, has a good advantage though with that inside lane. Coming out of the corner though, it's Winston Eagle. We see Budweiser. And look how long is he right behind the Winston Eagle. Oh, he is.
Come on, Mike.
Yeah, Mike's right up there in second place right now. Chip Hanauer doing a little racing on the inside. Still has slight advantage in the corner. And the old boy Alberto is running fourth. A good race.
Very good race.
3 extremely fast boats.
Look at them side by side. Look at that.
He's got a good corner. Mike's making a real charge on him. Mike is making a hard charge on Winston Eagle.
He's catching up to him.
Budweiser's back not over 4 boat lengths behind the first 2. Going into the upper corner, it's still Winston. Mike on the outside, Bud on the inside. Winston Eagle through the corner first. Followed very quickly by Mike Hansen and the Kellogg's. It looks very good. Bud has really dropped way off the pace in that lap. He had too good a corner.
He just might catch up.
Oh, Mike's right behind him.
He's putting him on.
Not over a couple of boat lengths behind him.
Oh, he's really pushing it.
Outside lane. He's going to be pushing him at the finish.
Come on, Mike.
The name of this game, though, is Build Up Your
One heck of a boat race. There he goes.
This is a real boat race, believe me.
There he goes. You got him. Ladies and gentlemen, you're seated here.
Mike's got him.
Mike's got him. There he goes. The dog dropped the flag, pushing it. There he goes.
Like he had him.
Right past him.
Looks to me like he had him. We'll wait till we get the official finish, but it looks like Kellogg's Frosted Flakes had it, though.
He had him all right. He had him going.
Great boat race, though.
There he goes. He's in the lead. About a half a boat length.
Great boat race.
It's side by side. Oh, Winston Eagle's getting a little ahead there.
It's only 3 laps. Is this the 3rd lap?
This is the 3rd lap.
Oh, I thought the last was the 3rd lap. Okay. Winston Eagle side advantage.
Come on, Tony.
Mike side by side. What a boat race.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is boat racing.
Boat race.
There he goes. He's pushing it.
What a boat race.
He couldn't quite push it. Almost.
I can't tell. It was too close to call.
It was too close to call, but it looked like to me that the Winston took it by maybe about 2 boat lengths, possibly.
At the most. I don't think 2 boat lengths. I think you had less than a boat length difference.
The rooster tail.
They'd already slowed down here.
Sometimes with that rooster tail, it's hard to tell how far you are away from it.
Yes, it is. Really hard to tell. It was too close for us to call. We'll just wait for the official decision.
That's Seattle exciting. Way to go, Bob.
Sure he didn't nip him. It was close, I'll tell you. That was Bob Hughes, president of Miss Madison. We were very, very proud. I mean, we're proud to to have Kellogg's as a sponsor, most certainly. They've been tremendous. I said we have a little money we can play with. We have the equipment. We know we have the driver. So, well, it looks like old boy Alberto lost about half of his wing, didn't he?
He did something to it. Broke off there.
No, I don't believe it is. I think it just extends forward.
Just popped loose.
Oh, what a boat race.
Oh, that was excellent.
We'll be back for the next heat.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here, and we'll be back right after this commercial message. Coming up, the Kellogg.
I think it was still only 2 or 3 feet. I'm quite excited about it. I think we've shown we can get out there and run with them, and I got high hopes. Our guys have really done their job this year, and so diligent about doing everything right and giving that extra effort to make sure that Mike's got a safe and competent ride, and it's paying off, and the guys are all excited about it.
Well, that's great, because you guys did. I heard we were out there on the dock, and it was about a quarter of boat length officially. That's what I heard after we came off the dock out there.
Good hard work breeds good luck and good success, and these guys are really working hard.
Great. Okay, we'll let you get back to doing hydroplaning. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Happy 40th anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
There you go.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here's some rare footage from Solid Video Productions from 1993. The Slow Motion 5 was just restored, and you saw earlier that it went out on the hydroplane race course, was coming back in. Now we're going to have an interview with the guy that helped initiate and helped put together and volunteered at the very beginning of the Slow Motion 5 and was put together. Let's watch that interview now.
This is Don. He's been here with the restoration of Slow Motion 5 that you saw ran just a few moments ago. Don, tell us a little bit about the boat and how it came together, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, my dad got involved with the slow-mo crew back in '53 and on the crew in fall of '54. And I used to go with them all the time to the shop in the winter where they repaired the motors and rebuild them, and went all through them, and go out at Stan Sayre's place when they ran the boats. And it was really neat, watch it take off the dock and the guys go out. And in spring of 1956, I don't know, it was the first or second time they ran that year. Mike Welch, the crew chief, looking around and says, anybody here that hasn't been for a ride? And I wasn't going to say nothing, and my dad pops up and says, my kid over here hasn't been for a ride. So we popped in the boat, and it was with Wes Kiesling, the head engine man. And we went out, and he pointed 195 on the speedometer, and we went down the lake, came down towards the old floating bridge, and the Evergreen wasn't even a gleam in the engineer's eyes back then. And we made the turn and hammered it coming out, and we just got accelerating good. And there was a small boat come out of nowhere, cut off in front of us. We had to slow down. We only got a 140-mile-an-hour ride. But still, one hell of a thrill and one hell of a scare, and it's something you never forget the rest of your life.
You mean to tell me that they didn't have a log boom back then, and the boats could go cut across?
Just testing. They used to run right out of Stan Sayre's house. They had the 2 boats. They had them on a big crane, big arches with a I-beam. They could wheel the 4 and the 5 out, put them in the water, and run them. No restriction. You could run all over the lake. They used to drive clear around Mercer Island and back up to his place just for fun.
So then he could commute to work. If he worked in Bellevue, he could get in it and commute across the lake then, huh?
Well, that would have been possible. That wasn't ever done, but
now you said that
possible.
You said also too that they might have the original crank there that they used to lower the boats in down on the other side of the bridge there.
I have been by there several years ago in my boat, and guys have been out there recently. Yeah, that whole assembly is still there. It's right around the corner on Hunts Point. You can't miss it. They're big, arch shape, come out over the dock. It's got the big slot, the opening in the middle for the boats to fit in there. And all that stuff is still there. Of course, the electric lifts and stuff aren't on the rail, but the boathouse and the rails are still there.
That's a neat piece of history. Now let's talk about the Slow Motion 5 boat here in restoration. How long did it take, and what was taken to put it together the way it is now?
Well, I helped recover the hull. It was down at Ron Jones. We had to go out to Carnation and get a trailer, run it over to one of the guys that used to own the boat's house, which was close by, and pump up one of the tires. Then go down to Ron Jones and get it loaded on the trailer. Got it back up the shop.
Little interference there, but we're doing okay.
And got it unloaded down on the floor. And then it took a while.
We're doing all right.
Yeah. Took a while for Ken Muscatel to come up with some buyers to actually purchase the boat. Then he paid for the materials to repair it. And we had, there was no deck on the boat. No deck bands. There was some of the cross frames in the front and back of the boat. We had to make several of them. The left sponson had to have major rebuilding. The right sponson, we replaced some aluminum. We had to take all the aluminum on the back third of the boat. The original aluminum is still good and still on there. All the aluminum that had been added previously or after it was a Slow-Mo 5 had to be removed. We had to do some repairs on the bottom, cut and fit new aluminum. All the aluminum on the sponsons is all new also. After we got the bottom and the aluminum on, we turned it back over. Got the deck done, all the interworks done, the deck done, and started putting the hardware from the Slow-Mo 4 into it. And
a lot of work went into it then.
A lot of time. A lot of sweat, a little bit of blood, and even a few tears, especially after we saw it on the trailer last Thursday morning with the cowling and everything on it as ready to run.
It is a beautiful boat. What type of engine they use? A Rolls-Royce Merlin?
Rolls-Royce Merlin. It was put together by Jeff from the T-Plus crew for the Slow-Mo 4 3 years ago. After we ran the 4, the test run, and the exhibition out here, it's been sitting in the shop. Jeff come over that Wednesday afternoon before we fired it in the boat and pulled the sparklers out and looked at, cleaned them, put them back in. We got the boat out about 11 o'clock a week ago Wednesday and ground her over a few times, pre-oiled it, and put the juice to it, and didn't take long. Jim Harvey come over and helped us, and he actually started the motor.
Oh, that must have been quite a thrill to see that thing fired up.
See the grin on you could see on Harvey.
Okay.
The grin on his face from just working with the stuff he used to work, and he enjoyed it.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you very much, Don. I know you got to get back to work. They're taking the boat on out of here. Where can people find this boat on display at?
Okay, we're at the Hydroplane and Raceboat Museum on South 93rd Street in South Park. It's in the industrial area. It's a little tricky to get into the first time. We have the Hydro Legends newsletters out that have a map with directions and our address and phone number in them. They're readily available here at the pits and the area outside where the boat's going to go.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Don. I'm going to let you get back. Thank you for the interview. And there's the Slow Motion 5. So you saw it here first on Salt Video Productions. We'll be back after this commercial message. Thanks, Don.
They go right as you go through the Navy base.
From their cockpit.
Oh yeah, visibility's good out of that cockpit. Oh yeah, he has, well, about 180 degree, let's call it, visibility. In other words, you can't see behind him. All you can see behind him is in his mirrors. But no, they have good visibility out the front and good visibility out the side, though.
Yeah. Miss T-Plus is second.
Tony's in third.
Tony's third. I knew he'd push it to the pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Where's the old boy Alberto? Looks like he's trying to finish it a little bit. There he goes. He died down a little bit.
Oh, out in first place. He is mo-docking. He is moving. They got and T-Plus. He's got a 12, 14 boat length sleeve on T-Plus now. T-Plus looks like he's going down almost. So Tony the Tiger is going to come home first. Absolutely great. Absolutely great. Terrific race. Really.
So there was 1993, the Miss Madison, which was sponsored by the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. We had the opportunity to be able to be down there and be with them for another 3 years. Now let's move along to more.
Legendary Pat O'Day. Hi, Pat. How you doing?
Curtis, how are you?
I'm doing great.
I've seen you here at this race course many times over the years.
Yes.
When did you first start coming
I
here?
started first coming in 1963. My father was working part-time at the for Bill Muncie in a auto shop there up in Queen Anne. He was a postman, and he gave us some pit passes. We came down here. I've been hooked ever since. I've never missed a hydroplane race since 1963. And in 1980, I hooked up with Seafair and started videoing, and I've been doing it ever since.
My first one, you want to hear this?
Yes, please.
My first one was 1967. I was a disc jockey on KJR, but I also had a concert company that was growing, and so I was on the air Friday, but Saturday night I'm in Dallas with Jimi Hendrix. We're doing Dallas Saturday night, and then he's going over to Houston for Sunday night, and I'm going to get the red eye back from Houston. But 4, 5, and 7 channels all covered the race at that time. And lo and behold, on late Friday, they went on strike, the engineers of the television stations. Well, TV stations couldn't do anything without them, and suddenly Channel 13 said, let's do the race. They called me in Dallas and said, will you come back and do the play-by-play? I said, why me? They said, well, you know all the drivers and everything. And so I said to Jimmy, I said, Jimmy, forgive me, do you think I should do this? Jimmy said, you gotta go do the boats. So caught the red eye, Brana Fairlines at the time, back to Seattle. They picked me up early in the morning at SeaTac and brought me down to the race course. I needed a color man, and they didn't have one, so I called Wayne Newton, who was staying at the Edgewater. He had done a concert for Seafair on Saturday night, and Wayne came and was my color man, and we did the Gold Cup that day, went on the air at I think 11 a.m., and we're on the air until Wayne had to go catch a plane at 4. But I was on the air alone until 7 o'clock that night when the final heat was run and the thing ended. And the next year I decided that I should take my radio station here to the lake and play rock and roll between the heats, put the disc jockeys in the corners and in the pits and make it a rock and roll event, which we did. And that began a long and great tradition.
Excellent. So I know it's all your favorite moments here. What is your favorite moment that you can recall in all the years you've been coming to Seafair?
Favorite moment?
Yeah.
I had a couple where I was personally involved. Number one was when we introduced the first turbine-powered hydroplane, the U-95 KJR. Little did we know we were changing the sport in the end when we did that. That boat was owned by Jim Clapp of the Weyerhaeuser family. I was the vice president of that racing team, along with the engineer, the late Chuck Lyford, who was a great engineer, also a great pilot, and a great racer in his own right. I guess another second thrilling moment was when I introduced the first and only lady driver to the sport, Brenda Jones. I built a boat, the KYYX, named after the radio station I owned at the time. Brenda was the world's women's sit-up champion. She had the Guinness Book of World Record, some 2,400 in a row or something like that. And she became the driver. She was so skilled and so disciplined. We started her in the limiteds and then graduated her to the big one. And so her appearance here, where the women on the shore were women and men were standing and screaming for her, and that was a proud moment. She didn't win the race, but later on, she did win the Muncie Cup in San Diego, and those are two moments. Beyond that, they've all been great. There's never been a bad one.
Excellent. Well, Pat, I see you're going to be doing the television today from 1 to 4, 1 to 5.
I'm just doing a little thing, on the history of the sport, which the millennials and young people need to hear to know why this thing, how it got started, and why it is what it is.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time, Pat, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Thank you, Curtis.
Yeah, good to see you again. Pat O'Day, hydroplane historian.
Scenes look here. This lady, and tell us your name, ma'am.
Lucille Woods.
Lucille Woods. Is it your son who does calling the races on Sunday on Channel 7?
My adopted son, Mike Simmons, has been coming since my husband, who used to be a referee for the races and passed away in 1980. Mike called and said, we're going boating, and he's been bringing me to the races ever since.
All right. Now, let's talk, reminisce. We've got a couple minutes here before we go now.
Okay.
You've been coming now for 55 years?
Yes. The first year, my husband was asked to be a course referee, and then he assumed the job of referee, and I am a scorer with the races.
What's different? Let's go back 55 years. Kind of not to give away your age or anything like that. No. Mine neither. But, 50 years ago, what was it like? Do you remember the first time? Was it confusing?
Well, we used to race down at the Mount Baker. And that's when the slow-mos would pull out of the course and come under the bridge, with a full rooster tail and everything else. And it was quite simple then. Wow. But the sport has just grown and has been advanced till we've gotten to this stage in 2005.
2005, yeah. 55 years of racing.
Right.
Thank you very much. Oh, one more thing before we go. 1974 was when we were up at Sand Point.
Yes.
And they used to have barges in it.
Yes, I was there.
All totally different. I was out there for that too. And that was almost a fiasco. I thought they were going to have to go the next day, but they came back here.
Right. We've raced many places, strange places.
What do you think's the strangest place we've ever been at?
Well, we've been up to Canada once or twice, and we've been to other little places like Chelan, Washington, and some of the other things, but part of my husband's job was to go in and set up the races. So we started the one at Tri-Cities, and then we used to have a Diamond Cup at Coeur d'Alene, and we've been to Ogden, Utah, at the reservoir, and just all over the country.
All over the place.
Yes.
I see you've got some interesting buttons and pins right there.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about some of this and how you came in.
Well, these are all different races that we've been to, as you noticed. And actually, we had this Spokane hydroplane, and that's where I'm from.
Right there, Miss Spokane. Okay.
And raced her, and now Doc has the same number, U25.
U25.
So it's still active, but it's not Miss Spokane, of course. Good.
Oh, I could talk for hours, so unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you very much for your time, and your name was again?
It's Lucille Woods.
55 years of the Hydros. I think she takes the award for the most longest running person here. Very young lady. Thank you for your time, and happy hydroplaning.
Yeah.
Look at that, it's cool. All right.
Here's a look at the 100 Plus Club, Hayden Lake, August 27th, and goes way back when to the Miss Spokane. So there's a card, and in those days you could buy different sponsorships and stuff like that. But Mrs. Woods had this and showed this to us. It was a great blessing. She's now gone, and thank you so very much for all the interviews. And now on to an interview with Fred Farley. But before we do that, Fred Farley passed away in a couple years ago, but also at the same time had the opportunity since 1965 to get to know Fred Farley. Fred Farley was a hydroplane historian. He was dubbed hydroplane historian about 25 years ago. And also, in the process of that, I got to know him in 1965, and then starting about 1999 or 98, when I was on the tower, volunteering for Seafair, doing behind the scenes, I got to know Fred Farley real well. And he would come down for about 10, 15 years now, and would come down and talk about hydroplanes. So now, let's take a look at some of those highlights of where Fred Farley describes when the classic hydroplanes come out, and boy, this gives you goosebumps. So here he is, Fred Farley, describing to us as the classic hydroplanes go around Lake Washington, the Ron Jones Seniors Race Course from the majestic shores of Lake Washington.
To another version of Seafair, which almost didn't happen. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Hi, I'm your host, Curtis Blackwell. Been here a long time, and also joining me throughout the broadcast, our on videotape, whatever you want to call it. This year we're doing something a little differently. We're going to be reminiscing about 60 years of hydroplaning here just on Lake Washington, and there have been a lot of them. There have been flipovers, there's been a lot of rain, there's been all kinds of things. So now I'd like to introduce one of who's been a longtime friend and who's known hydroplanes for over 50 years. I don't want to give away our ages, but we've been here a long time, right, Brett?
We certainly have. And this race course has seen a lot of activity, as you mentioned. First race here was in 1951. Well, actually, 1950 was the first Seafair. There was no race, there was no unlimited race in 1950, but there was a mile trial at the Slow Motion 4 beach house, and that was the pit area. It was a little before my time. It must have been a very congested area for a pit area.
That's something I didn't know. Up in Mount Baker, I know that they were up there, but the crane is still up there, is it not?
Well, the boathouse is still there, and there are a lot of trees. I've seen pictures of the old Mount Baker pits. It must have been quite a trick to maneuver both from the trailers into the water. And but then in 1957, the current pit area was constructed. It was named after Mr. Stanley Sayers, who had owned the slow-mo boats at Stan Sayers Memorial Pits. And they have been the Hydro Central ever since, except for 1 year in 1974, when the race was conducted up at Sand Point.
What a year that was, huh?
It was way too rough. And the following year they came back here, and they've been here ever since. And I hope they stay here.
It looks that way. I mean, let's talk about the Gold Cup now. Stan Sayers, I've heard a lot of people say, Stan Sayers. Stan Sayers was a regular, ordinary businessman, and he decided to build a hydroplane. What gave him Stan Sayers the idea to bring the hydroplane race here? Did he have a spirit of competition, or were they looking for something? How did they bring the race here?
Well, he had dabbled in limited hydroplanes for a number of years, and he, like a lot of people, read yachting and motorboating magazines and saw what a big thing the race was in the northeast quadrant of the United States, specifically Detroit and Washington, D.C., and a few other venues. And Seafair was getting going. They're in the late 40s, at least in the talking stage. And the Seafair people realized they needed a headline event. And after the slow-mo set the mile straightaway record and then won the Gold Cup, the door opened for them on that area. So they had a headline event starting in 1951. And this would be the 60th consecutive year of competition on Lake Washington for the unlimited hydroplanes.
Has the hydroplane race ever been brought to a stop? I mean, besides where a flip over a boat goes, I mean, has there been any particular reason, weather-wise or anything that you can recall, that's stopped the race and they had to do it the next day, or has it always been finished on time here?
Only once has it ever had to be postponed till Monday. That was 1960, and there was a rash of crashes. No one was seriously hurt, but there were delays and delays. Finally, they ran out of daylight, and they ended up running the final heat on Monday. That's the only time in the entire history of the racing here on Lake Washington that they didn't get finished on Sunday.
1960. Wow, it's very interesting facts. One more thing, because I know you got to get ready as the day goes on. We're going to be talking classic hydros and Seattle events here, and I tell you, it's hard to believe. Boom! It was here. You know, it's about a week ago. Okay, it's here, coming, and here it is. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, before we let Fred go and do his thing and come back later on, this is Friday. It's the day of qualifying. Remember the days when people would come down here? I remember coming down here and like on a Tuesday, and every day during the week. When did they quit doing that, and why? What was the reason for that?
Well, because there's volunteers are needed, and in the early days, the yacht club, the Seattle Yacht Club, was the co-sponsor of the event. And at yacht club, people tend to be a little more affluent and can arrange their own vacation times better than the average Joe Blow like you and me. So, plus the efficiency of the turbine engines, they can get that done a lot quicker than in the past. Those old Allison Rolls-Royce engines, as wonderful as they sounded, they could be very bulky, and it would sometimes take the better part of a week to get them sorted out.
Okay. Well, Fred, you know what? Why don't you come back a little bit later on, maybe like say after the air show, or just stop in. And like I said, this weekend here, we're here to talk about, reminisce about things. So I'll be quite a bit. You see hydros, there's limited lights. And there's something new here this year, what's called wakeboarding, and we'll check that out too. But you know what? I noticed yesterday, for the first time ever, I was walking down there, and just happened right in front of me, I saw the Blue Angels. All the Blue Angels flying with the Red Baron and another plane from Boeing. I wasn't quite sure what it was, so hopefully they'll be doing it. And they're all flying together. I go, wow, it caught me off guard. That was so cool to see. So you never know what you're going to see new here at Seafair this year.
Seafair is always full of surprises.
Yes, they are. All right, thanks. Thanks, Fred. Okay, Curtis Blackwell reporting. We'll be back to you a little bit later. Have a good day. Here's another fantastic video where I interview Pat O'Day. It's at Seafair's 60th anniversary. It's a great interview. Enjoy it.
Views here at the race course. An airplane is screeching overhead, interrupting us as we talk. But that's part of Seafair weekend here, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
If it isn't, you know, the airplanes have replaced the boats at making wonderful noises. The boats are now just blow dryers, you know, they sound like your hair dryer in the morning. And the airplanes provide the noise.
Right.
They're going to have a race tomorrow, they say, between an airplane and a boat. Did you hear that?
I was looking at the schedule this morning and just looked at it just not too long ago. And I've never heard of that before.
Well, it's long overdue. You know, they should have air races right above the hydroplane races, you know. And anyway, how are you?
I'm doing good, as a matter of fact. I'm Curtis Blackwell, along with legendary Pat O'Day, who was my mentor, helped me get into radio a long time ago. Pat, welcome to Solid Videos Production. We're down here at the Star Finish Tower down at the lower level. 60 years of hydroplane. Welcome, Pat.
Well, thank you. 60 years has been going on. Kind of an interesting thing. Detroit had the Tigers. They had the Detroit Lions. They had the Detroit Pistons. Detroit was Major League. Now, Seattle, we had a minor league baseball team, the Rainiers. The Huskies went to the Rose Bowl about every 100 years. I mean, they didn't even know where Pasadena was anymore. And we had nothing. We were a minor league town. And then Ted Jones built this boat that clearly was 30 miles an hour faster on the water than any boat that had been built before, because it employed a three-point design. It rode on the propeller and the two sponsons. And with that boat, he went back to Detroit to enter the boat in the Gold Cup race. Now, when that boat arrived in Detroit, people made fun of it, because any self-respecting racing boat was long, you know, with a big V in the hull and so on. Here was this goofy little round piece of plywood that these clowns from Seattle were saying was a fast boat. Well, of course, they won that Gold Cup. They won it. They lapped every boat in the field. And as a result, they brought the Gold Cup to Seattle. Now, we didn't know what a Gold Cup was, but we knew Detroit had it, and it was now ours, and Detroit was a major league city, so we had something major league. And as a result, about 400,000 people came out that first race 60 years ago to see what the hell it was that we'd won. And here we are 60 years later as hydroplanes only make sense. It's a marriage because we love boats in the Northwest. And of course, we're the breeding grounds for the greatest airplanes built in the world. So boats that fly across the water instead of plowing through the water were a natural. That's right. Boeing engineers love participating in hydroplane racing and 60 years ago. There's another element here, and that is that the people that live in the Northwest were pioneers. Either they or their grandparents moved out from the Midwest, came out west because they had courage, they had desire, they had creativity. And it's the children of those people, the creative, courageous, pioneering blood of those people that prevails in the Northwest today. Thus, we're the home of Starbucks, Microsoft, Amazon, Costco, the list goes on and on and on. We're one of the creative capitals of the world, and it's because of the genes in the kind of people that inhabit the Northwest. Genes they inherited from their parents and grandparents that had the courage to say, screw you to the East Coast and move out here originally. Now, how that ties in with hydroplaning, I'm not too sure, but it seems to make sense, doesn't it?
It makes a lot of sense, and I like it because you're telling the truth there. I mean, I've been coming here, somebody told me down there that I've been coming 47 years. I lost track. But you know what? It's like every single year. It's year-round. Once you start getting addicted to these hydroplane races, you get hydroplane fever because I've been to a few dozen, and it's year-round. Plus all of the hundreds and hundreds of hours of video I have, especially something like 600 hours of you.
Well, it's a great event. It's a chance for Seattle to embrace its beautiful waters of Lake Washington, to enjoy those brief warm periods that we get each year, and to celebrate water and aerodynamics and airplanes and just the beauty of the Northwest. And again on Sunday, we will just shock the heck out of the sockeye salmon that are swimming under the surface, heading for the Cedar River to have sex and spawn. And they will be swimming, and they'll see these 6 propellers ripping the water, and they'll say, what in the hell is going on up there? But the leader of the pack said, kids, remember, it's seafair.
That's right.
And we welcome the sockeye back after their long swim out in the Pacific, and welcome them back to seafair. So is that the strangest thing you've ever heard in your life?
Only here with no. I was listening to you earlier on the radio. Now, you got into hydroplane racing and broadcasting on the radio through KJR. It's nice to see KJR's back. So how is that going this year?
Well, they're going to simulcast our Channel 7 coverage and of the actual race itself, and then they're going to be in the pits and so on. It's great having KJR back again. That started when I was running KJR at the time, and I brought the radio station here to the lake in 1968. And we turned it into a rock festival with Rolls Merlin engines, and played rock and roll music and put the DJs in the corners, and I did the play-by-play, and a great tradition started. And it's just part of the ongoing story of the evolution of seafarer in Seattle.
Well, let's talk about this year. The race almost did not happen. What exactly? I mean, without going into specifics, was that due to lack of sponsorship, or what was it that I heard grapevine?
No, it was because the government took over General Motors, government motors, and they pulled the plug on a contract to sponsor Seafair, the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. As a matter of fact, the government stiffed Seafair. There was a contract. They were supposed to pay. They didn't. And retirement funds got the money, and who knows where it went. And so Seafair was in trouble because Seafair had come to rely on Chevrolet for that money, General Motors. So anyway, up stepped Duke Moss Grip, and then Albert Lee Appliance, and so Seafair made it through this year, and in the years to come, I think we'll have more reliable sponsorship than the U.S. government and their General Motors.
That's right. Even though they may be broke, we won't go into that, will we?
Yeah, the problem was not Seafair's fault. The problem was a bureaucracy, and they overcame the problem, and here we are again.
Because I don't know about you, but I was getting very worried. So I had the opportunity. Let's change the subject for just a second. Still hydros. Your name was on the Tasting and Racing back in June. Your name was on to ride the Miss Thriftway back then. When I was looking for you, I didn't see what happened.
My brother passed away that Monday, and on that Saturday out of Lake Sammamish, I was in Ilwaco for his funeral. And so that's why I wasn't.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to find out because I was hoping I could run into you and capture you, but we're here.
I was planning to be there, and I was looking forward to a ride in that Thriftway, and some other year.
Some other year.
We'll do it again.
I was told if I come up with $5,000, they'll gladly give me a ride.
It's a bargain. A bargain.
It really is. Folks, if you get a chance to fly on the Blue Angels or ride in a hydroplane, there's nothing quite like it. Let's see, what else can we cover here? This Seafair itself has been going on for 60 years. How did you, that's right, I already asked you that question. What else?
What was the question?
I don't know, you asked me a question.
Oh, well.
We'll turn the table for a chance.
What has changed?
Yes.
It's become a more flamboyant festival with the air shows and everything going on. They worry about hydroplaning. I worry about it too. I think they need to return to the piston engine someday, make it less expensive to run the sport, and get more automotive sponsors in the sport. But it will not die because it's the Grand Championship of boat racing. It's the major leagues of boat racing, and it will always endure in one form or another. And as long as it endures, it will be the feature of the final day of Seafair in Seattle. Was that the question?
All right. Looks like it's a tie, but I got to go with the airplane. We'll see more of this tomorrow and on Sunday. Wow, isn't that spectacular? He goes around again. Wow. Airplane versus a hydroplane. I got to go airplanes and 5 hydroplanes racing simultaneously, one-on-one. That would be so cool to see. Again, you're seeing it first right here. There it is. Hydroplane versus the airplane. Looks like the hydroplane's gained the lead. There it is. The airplane's coming up. Oh, coming so close. Oh, so close, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at that. Gaining on him a little bit. Oh, here goes the airplane. There goes the airplane. Oh, and it is the airplane. Oh, nice try. I think I'll do it one more time. See the airplane. Got started in some of the classic hydros.
The same year King brings local news to the Northwest, it dares to broadcast live a sporting event Seattle has never seen: hydroplane racing. For decades, the Gold Cup race had been held in Detroit, Michigan. It was a tradition until a Seattle boat called Slow Motion 4 travels to the Midwest in 1950 and unexpectedly wins the race. According to the rules, Seattle will host the next Gold Cup.
Just for us in this.
Placing a submarine in the middle of Lake Washington with cameras mounted on its periscope is briefly considered. Instead, cameras are strategically placed on barges, one equipped with the nation's first 40-inch telescopic lens, specially built by King engineers.
And that made it.
This day, 100,000 spectators line the shore.